All right. Hello everyone. Welcome to another episode of Secure by Design, the podcast brought to you by Secnora. I'm Daniel Kulig, your host, and today is a special one for us. Believe it or not, but this is our 10th episode. Really a small anniversary and great milestone for the podcast. And it's not only special because of the anniversary itself, but mainly because we're going live with someone who has been, I would say, shaping and provoking the cybersecurity industry for decades. Winn Schwartau. Winn is one of the, I think, original voices in cybersecurity and information warfare. He has been thinking about cybersecurity risks since the really early days of the industry, long before many of today's security buzzwords existed. That's what I think. He also warned about large scale cyber disruption decades ago, wrote influential books, including Information Warfare, Pearl Harbor.com, Time Based Security, Analog Network Security, and The Art and Science of Metaware. And he has a rare ability to make serious security topics sharp, entertaining, and uncomfortable in the best possible way. So, today we are not doing a standard cybersecurity interview. We are going to talk about what the industry still refuses to learn, why time matters in security, and how AI and really synthetic media are changing trust, and whether the next major cybersecurity battlefield is no longer only our networks, but our really perception on reality itself. So, Win, welcome to Secure by Design. It's a real pleasure to have you here.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. I just don't see any way to cover all of that material that you just said. No, that's a month of talking.
Okay, so we go after hours, or bring you on the next time so you can
Anytime,
continue
Dave.
with and share your great experience from your
Thank you.
from your professional life. When so I've seen I've done some research prior to meeting you today, and I know you have been an in around cyber security since really early days. Like I saw 1983, so
Yeah.
early 80s.
Mhm.
So let me start with like a very direct question to you. In your opinion, what is the one thing that cybersecurity industry still refuses to learn after all these decades? You know, what mistakes keep coming back? Under a different name, maybe.
People have asked me a lot. What's the worst? What are still the biggest problems
Uh huh.
in cybersecurity? And looking back 45 years, I get almost now. I don't think they've changed. I think the three biggest single things that are still wrong with cybersecurity are apathy, arrogance, and ignorance
Hmm.
on the part of everybody, whether it's all the way down users who don't know, mid managers, all the way up to the C suites and the board of directors who take one of those three attitudes.
Mhm.
And that hasn't changed. That really has not changed at all in 40 years.
Wow. I mean, it seems like an obvious one, right?
People
But
typically expect me to give them a technical answer, but every time we add more technology, we create more problems.
yes.
And sometimes we got to strip down back to the basics. So it's still those three. It's all in our heads. The apathy, I don't care. The arrogance, I know better than you because I'm smarter than you. And then the ignorance of WTF are you talking about?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, exactly. I mean, I think the point is you add technology and it just may be fast paced. It's more like fast forward and it's quicker,
But it's also
um,
more complex.
it's more
And from a
complex.
pure engineering standpoint, of in any engineering discipline, keep it simple. Simpler works more reliably.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I think, like, after all these different, since 1983, I mean, it's been few years, but I think security is still the same. I mean, it's really, it still is a continuous decision making, problem. I mean,
Decision
why?
making.
Because I think it's all about people at the end,
It is
so
all about decision making, no matter where you are in the hierarchy of the network or the enterprise or the internet. It's
mhm,
still about making smart decisions. That's also what life is about. There's
mhm,
no difference, except this is a slightly different language, and there are some differences that make those decisions more impactful, more potentially dangerous
mhm.
than those that we just make for ourselves.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it all probably it matters how quickly you as a decision maker or an organization can respond when something goes wrong, right? That's probably the
Well,
key thing.
that was the basis of time-based security going back to the 90s,
Yeah.
was saying, where is the metric? What are we talking about? How do we talk
Mhm.
to each other? And once you realize that time is the actual common denominator between all of the aspects of security, then you get a slightly different perspective. If you go back to the work of John Boyd in 1984,
Mhm.
he developed at Maxwell Air Force Base in Montgomery, Alabama, what's called the OODA loop.
Ooh.
And it is a cyclical process of observe, orient, decide, act, and
Mhm.
then do it all over again. And the key to this, according to Boyd, and I fully support it, absolutely, is the faster that you can keep that loop running, the more
Exactly.
likelihood is you're going to win a conflict, win an argument, win a whatever that particular action is. You want to get inside of the opposing OODA loop, and that means speed. That means being faster at the entire process. Uh,
Exactly.
there's a lot of detail there, but that is fundamentally how jet fighters, when they're dogfighting up in the sky, that's how they win or lose, is by using Boyd's work, the OODA loop. And we have the same opportunities in cyber.
Got it. When I mean, I've seen. I mean, you're an author of many books, and I have to admit, I haven't read one book of yours yet, but
Oh, thank you.
I will. I will because I like to actually. It's funny when I tell you, like, I work with, like, in a startup space, and I meet a lot of, like, influential people in startup ecosystem. And there's a lot of people. There are two categories of people. One category is, like, they're like people that never had a company and they write books, you know
Mhm.
and other people that found the company and wrote the books. So
Mhm.
it's really interesting when you actually merge those two people and how different outcomes you get, actually, when it comes to their solutions for life, for business. And so I be at the end of this, probably this podcast, I'll probably have a great understanding of how you look at those things. So I promise you, I will probably read one of your books. And but I read something about, like, I was actually looking at what actually your books are all about. And, like, for example, you warned about the idea of an electronic Pearl Harbor, before Congress in 1991. That was
Yeah.
like, wow. Uh, and like, when you look at today's world, like pretty much, everything is like cloud infrastructure, AI, all critical infrastructure, supply chains, identity systems, so to speak, and pretty much, global dependency on digital platforms. That's what's happening right now. So I mean, going back to my context here, um, were you in that respect, were you too early, or are we still underestimating the same risk
Oh,
from like
gee.
the congressional appearance in 1991?
Was I too early? I'm just going to go, yeah, because I have a lot of fun thinking about the future, and I have. I look at the world, I look at the universe, our systems, as a complex engineering issue. And whether you're looking at cyber, whether you're looking at biology, our own, or cosmology, or a water treatment system, they
Hmm.
are all systems. Every single one of those is a system that has one goal and only one goal, and that is to survive, to keep it going, to keep it working within, hopefully, some reasonable guardrails and tolerances. That's the design aim. And once you start looking at all of these as systems, instead of it's a firewall, it's a
Hmm.
password, it's a 2FA or whatever. It's when you get up into the meta level and looking at them from a systems level, all of the answers
Hmm.
are the same vectors, just within different specific disciplines. That's all. I don't speak biology well. I've got a good buddy who I say, tell me where I'm wrong. Please fix this bit for me. And we all, it's the same, but it's different. And you need to have colleagues that you can call on that will give you a different viewpoint from a different angle. And I think a lot of people, due to partially apathy and arrogance, they don't do that. They think that they've got all the answers, and none of us do. None of us have all the answers at all. We're still learning.
Yes, and I truly appreciate what you said. I think this is a endless journey of learning, especially in the fascinating word as cybersecurity, especially in the cyber risk space. Yeah, yeah. I mean, if the company gets breached, let's say a system goes down and database is exposed or something like that, you know, I mean, do you actually get prepared for this somehow? I mean, will you be able to catch this on time? That's the question. I think the real risk is systemic anyway. So like it is hospitals, payments, or like I mean, logistics, energy, anything you name it. I think it at the end is like what is the level of like public confidence on all that and
Well,
trust?
you're getting to it. It's trust. So
It
much
is
has
trust.
changed. So much has changed in the last, number of years, whatever. And the issue of trust has raised up. I trust, I don't trust. But trusting is a unique phenomena in that it's not absolute.
Hmm.
There is no one. Do I trust you with my life? Probably not. Does your spouse trust you with your life? Yeah, maybe. But,
Hopefully.
but what if your kid was threatened? Then does that change the equation? And when you
Mhm.
look at all the various pieces of a system, no matter what it is, it
Mhm.
involves trust. How much do you trust a particular aspect of something, whether it's the human element or the technical element? And we're finally starting to think in these terms, but then you've got folks who go zero trust. Yeah, if you have zero trust, you don't have a system that's on, it's off.
It's off.
it's off. It's the only way to have it mathematically, because there are no zeros and there are no ones. If there is zero trust, then it's off. If you have absolute, complete 100% trust, you're no longer in control. And so
Exactly.
somewhere in between there is trust, and what do you believe? And when you get the warnings and a knock, today the equations and the trust equations have changed so much because of the volume of them and the attack vectors. How much do you trust the data that's coming across your knock screen? What level of confidence do you say, yep, that's accurate? Nope, that's not accurate. And how do you do it? And how fast can you do it, of course? So the
Mhm.
complexity is become beyond manageable in many ways, especially with the introduction of bots and AI. And there was a report that came out last week that fundamentally said, and I'm paraphrasing this, we're seeing more breaches and more holes in our systems thanks to AI, period. And
Period. Period.
and that makes our jobs and all that much harder. That much harder.
Much harder, but at the same time, it creates more opportunities, to be more creative as well.
Yes and
Um,
no. Yes and no, because where do you decide who has agency? It becomes a matter of identity
mhm,
control and agency.
mhm.
When I am interacting with my AI one way or another,
Right.
um, do I absolutely believe everything he tells me, she tells me?
No.
Or is it just I'm talking to another friend at a bar and getting another opinion that I still have to validate if it matters? And it's a
Mhm.
part of the process is now for people is what does it matter? Does it matter what really matters? And that is probabilistic.
Yeah.
When we are in digital is not a binary condition. We're always floating somewhere in between zero and one, whether it's the trust of the network, the trust of the people, the risk factor. You go through all of the factors that we talk about in cybersecurity and have for 40 years. None of them are absolute. They're all maybe to some degree of confidence or another. And we need to reevaluate how we're really looking at trust, because if I have a trust factor, and my one of my books, Analog Network Security, goes through all of that.
Mhm.
If I
Mhm.
have a trust factor and I'm going to assign it, I'm going to pretty good. I'm going to give you a zero point 0.9 out of from 0 to 1. 0.9, pretty good.
Mhm.
That's at this moment right now. What about 1 minute, 1 second, 1 hour, 1 week, a year from now? And we have seen the effects of, I tested it, it's good. And then they forget about it for a year or 2 years.
Yep.
And we've seen that in the human domain and the technical domain. That's another mechanism for failure.
Absolutely, absolutely. When I mean, let's talk about something also that you touch on in your career, time-based security. So, one of your most practical, contribution is time-based security, and the idea, I think, to my understanding, is so powerful because I would say, it shifts the conversation from can we prevent everything to can we detect and respond before the damage becomes unacceptable, right?
It looks like
So
you read the book.
you know what, I read some of the perfect write-ups on opinions of people that actually recommended the book to you. You know what I mean? So I kind of came prepared, and this got me so psyched. And I said, that's why I said, I'm not gonna lie to you that I read your book, but but I got very interested in this, and I promise that at the end of the podcast I will definitely be definitely reaching out to get the copy, because it is really amazing what you have actually achieved
it's
uh,
they're
you
all
know,
they're free on Amazon.
I know, I know, I
So
know,
it's
I
I'm not
know.
charging for those.
Yes. So according, so what I said is, so my question would be, are most, companies still measuring their wrong things in cybersecurity? I mean, very simple question. In your opinion, like what should companies measure beyond vulnerabilities and compliance checklists? But that would be
I
like a
am
back.
not. I am not a practitioner. I don't live in a knock or a sock. I have a lot of friends that do,
Uh
and
huh.
so we certainly have a lot of conversations. But I am not the operational expert. But based upon everything that I have been told, the fundamental time-based security formulas are getting adopted finally more and more than they
Mm,
have.
okay.
What I have not seen, not saying it doesn't exist, but it was certainly proposed in the book, is the idea of exposure time.
Okay.
In that, if you don't know how long it takes to detect something going wrong, if you don't know how long it takes to respond and mitigate and fix it to some extent,
Yeah. Yeah.
then you do not know how long the bad guys have to do bad guy things inside of your networks, and that's exposure time. So all of the math is really very, very simple if you look at it through the lens of time. And I
Hmm.
have made the following argument that when you are talking network security,
Yes.
if time is not part of the question and time is not part of the answer, you're fooling yourself.
It's part of the equation. Yeah.
It's
Oh,
a yeah, it's a simple equation. I mean, these are simple equations you learned in third grade. Nothing
pretty
hard.
much.
It's a shift in the way you think about systems.
Hmm.
And yes, thinking about systems is more difficult than thinking about 2 points connecting. Oh, I have an Ethernet connection. It's fast. That's a pretty simple concept. But when you've got masses of whether it's the network's topology in the enterprise, outside
Hmm.
the enterprise, all of the things, suddenly the complexity of the actual IT systems themselves makes the security all that much more
Hmm.
complex as well. And I think some people are finally seeing. You probably do. You get at the passcode for doing a verification, and
Exactly.
it finally says you have 7 minutes to do this, or
To complete.
and that
Yes.
is that's an implementation of the time-based security formulas as part of an out-of-band 2FA. So yes, it is being used in some places. The biggest problem in a hyper-speed environment is humans are a whole lot slower than technology.
Oh yes.
So, one of the things that occurs that I introduce in analog network security is the concept of adding delays, intentional delays into certain processing operations in order to give the human an opportunity to become part of that decision making loop.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's out of their hands, and that's where agency is lost. When you lose agency, uh, well, that's going to be for the lawyers to be deciding, not me. I don't want to
Hmm.
testify in any of those trials.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I
I'll
think
do
you
the
touched
math. That's it.
exactly. I mean, I think you're actually putting in a very straightforward perspective, and I appreciate that because it's I think people make it more complex than needed, and like for example, how many times do you hear like people asking you, "Are we secure?" I mean, this is like
It's a meaningless question.
yeah,
Meaningless.
exactly. I mean, I would rather say like, how fast do we know something is wrong, or how fast can we contain it, or maybe how much damage can happen before we act. That would be probably
But
better question.
you need to have the formula and be able to start plugging in the
Yeah.
variables. The variables are not absolutes; they're probabilistic curves. And yes, I am sorry, but that is how it works. I can't help that.
And
I had I was at my daughter's house yesterday, and she just had surgery, so some of her friends were over, and one of the friends that she grew up with, and this is a lady who's in her early 40s,
Hmm.
she is starting up a program inside of a division of a financial institution.
Okay.
And she goes, "We're doing this." And she and I rarely ever talk tech because she's operations. And she goes, "My boss really wants to put in AI." And I go, "Oh, cool, great. What do you think?" I said, "Well, where is your 1-page engineering sheet? What are your expectations? What are you trying
Mhm.
to achieve?" Oh, and it's to say it's specifications. And she goes, "Well, he doesn't know much about tech." And I go, "Oy vey. Okay."
That's a great start.
And so I said, "Here is the one question that I really want you to throw at him. You want to put AI into all of your existing. Yeah, we want to, he wants to go all AI.
Mhm.
Okay."
All in. Hmm.
And I said, "Why?" "Well, he thinks it'll make us more productive." I said, "Are you aware of any of the stats that are saying almost the opposite right now? It's a mess out there." I said, "You got to ask your boss the following question. Let's say we put in this whole AI system. Let's say it doesn't perform as we expect. It didn't. We
No.
don't like it.
Hmm.
Do you have a plan to turn it off without turning off your whole enterprise? How do you do that?
Great
You're
question.
installing it. Do you know how to uninstall it quickly?" And people aren't thinking about that. They're putting stuff in as though, okay, it'll be here and it's fine. We'll tie it all together and that's great. But they forget the circuit breaker in the, in for your house, circuit breaker. Turn it all off. And it's a thing called graceful degradation that I brought up
Oh, I haven't heard that one. That's really
back in
good.
the late '80s. It's called
Uh-huh.
graceful degradation, and it's for example, a pilot. He's flying
Hmm.
along very happily. One engine goes. Now we know big planes can fly safely on one engine. That is a mode of graceful degradation that the pilots are trained for. We lost an engine. Okay, we declare an emergency. We do all of these things from a safety standpoint.
Okay. Very
Graceful
fair.
degradation in our world means a lot of turn it all off. No, that means we're out of business and the plane crashes. No. What plans operationally do you have, and do you have the technical ability to degrade certain services and keep your company running? And that's back to apathy, arrogance, and ignorance.
So we're going
Unaware of
back.
the
We're going back in time.
unaware of the issue.
Hmm.
No, that's not a problem. And WTF are you talking about? And
Yeah. That period.
and I see
Period.
this when I talk. And again, I'm not a practitioner, but I do get to meet a lot of people, a lot of one-on-one conversations
Hmm.
where they're much more honest with me because I won't name them than in a group chat. And it's like the problems all revert back to the same systemic errors.
Hmm. Hmm. Okay. So pretty much it all goes in the circle. So okay.
Yep,
Fantastic.
absolutely.
Yep. Okay. So when you have also talked about like about security as probabilistic, not
Hmm.
deterministic. That
Hmm.
sounds very obvious once you hear it, and uh, but I think the market still sells the cybersecurity as if certainly is possible. I mean that is just my intake on this. So the question to follow on this, it would be, why is cybersecurity still sold like a guarantee when the reality is probability, time, and maybe bunch of trade-offs, bunch of them.
I spent a number of years going to RSA, having a lot of fun with vendors.
Aha.
And
Okay.
they'd
Tell us.
throw me out of the booth.
Tell us.
Take me off to the side, um, because the implication from the sales pitch is just like laundry detergent. New, improved laundry detergent. It's going to smell better, and it's going to be it's the same approach. It's a vendor mindset, And I'm not
Mhm.
trying to be critical of every vendor. I'm just trying to be critical of every vendor because the headline capturing your attention. We solve all your problems. When you go to trade shows and those headline signs for the
Mhm.
ultimate and best security for your network, we got you covered.
Mhm.
What the hell does that even mean?
Yep, absolutely nothing.
Well, we'll give you a WebEx next Tuesday. No, if you can't tell me in 30 seconds what you do so that I, as an engineering, technically oriented person, can figure out, then you don't know how to get your message across. And so they resort back to communicating to those people that are less technical.
Yep,
And that's exactly what
absolutely.
happened with my daughter's friend yesterday. And it was an amazing realization that this is even in small companies of under 500 and a financial institution certified by the feds, that's the same issues,
Yep.
identical issues.
Yes.
So no, you're never going to know until the only thing you can do is try to keep that arrow, try to keep that arrow close up to one. But you also should have the ability to measure it and monitor it on a continuing basis.
Hmm. Obviously, that is a must. Yeah, I mean, I have to relate to what you said about the 30 seconds explanation. I mean, I see it all the time. I mean, I work with startup founders, and that's their biggest issue as well. I mean, I'm not sure if you heard about the term called elevator pitch.
Oh,
Uh,
listen. I've been around a few years, and I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you.
I'm
I'm going to tell
sure.
you for elevator pitch. When I
Yes.
was in the audio business, and I'm going back into the '70s, right in New York.
Hmm. Hmm.
One of my side hustles was buying old broken audio equipment and
Hmm.
fixing it,
Hmm.
and then reselling it for a profit.
Hmm.
So in New York at the time, it was the music business everywhere. And there were, I'm going to say, 50 buildings that were very
Hmm.
focused on the music industry. And I would get in the elevators and ride the elevators for hours. Anybody interested in a microphone? What's it like? Well, it says this and this and this. And I have between the 10th floor and the ground floor to try to sell a microphone in an actual elevator. So elevator pitches, if you cannot get your point across really, really quickly and accurately, unless you're going to BS everybody, uh, yeah, we've been doing elevator pitches for 50 years, and
Yep. So
people
that's
don't know how to do it.
believe me, don't they that's the biggest problem. I mean, no matter how great, I mean, this is like my analogy, but no matter how great your business idea is, if you can't you know actually speak it the way you should actually explore. I mean, 30 seconds, it's not a lot, but it's a lot when you know how to
It
do
is
it,
a
right?
lot.
It is a lot. It
That's
is.
the TV soundbite rule. Back from doing interviews on
Yeah.
TV, if you spend more than 20 seconds giving them an answer, they're going to edit it to say what they want, and you've lost agency. Keep your answers short, sweet,
Short.
succinct, and accurate.
Do you know you probably also know the acronym KISS, right?
Oh yeah,
Uh, so it works well if people actually listen and follow that. It makes a big difference. So yeah. Anyway, so we are on the same page, Win. I'm so
oh
happy.
wow.
Okay, so now
Yeah.
your newer work, we're gonna touch on something more common. I mean, closer to what you do nowadays on MetaWar moves it moves the conversation into influence, more like perception, maybe belief systems, identity, maybe, and maybe it's just a I would say maybe reality distortion. So let me ask this way. So, in your opinion, when is cybersecurity becoming cognitive security then?
Um, one could argue security has always been cognitive security. Um,
You're very hard to surprise. Okay.
you go back. You can go back hundreds of years. You go back to all right. The history of civilization. Security was about control of large numbers of people in
Yep.
order to create a society that could sustain itself. Back to an OODA loop, whether it's the rain and how often does it happen, the harvesting, can I get the supply chain stuff from here to here? And even if
Hmm.
that was 5,000 years ago, the process is
Process.
the same. And in there is the psychological aspect. I want my people, the Pharaoh wants his people to be happy, to be loyal, and to make nice buildings, whatever that is.
Hmm.
Today, it's the same thing with different objects.
Yep.
So then we go through this era of social engineering, and one could say
Yeah.
Machiavelli, back from the 15th century. He described it about how to control people. You go back to Tsarist Russia, you go throughout all of history.
Yep.
Sun Tzu back in China. It's about the mind. If I have convinced you of something, you're going to believe it. If I have convinced
Exactly.
you, and that is what the meta war thesis is all about. Because belief is about buying into a narrative. Right now, you're buying into my narrative. You're nodding and you're agreeing with that. Okay, most everything I'm saying, but how much of what I'm saying is really BS? Right? Your
That's
listeners.
another thing. That's another thing. I mean, I would add on to what you said because I truly believe in that. In talking about controlling the populations and stuff like that. But I think is if even if it's BS, my take is if you are so smart to repeat it 100 times or 1,000 times to a mass, you know, j- of people, then it becomes true.
What
You know what I
happens
mean?
if you listen to the same radio station talk
Yep.
show for
Mm-hmm.
months on end?
Yep.
It's in the background. You don't even have to pay attention
Yep.
because your sensory inputs, you're getting about 100 kilobits per second of stimulus into your brain from audio that you are not even aware of.
Exactly.
So that
Exactly.
becomes, in my mind, an unintentional influence and a potential danger because you're losing agency over what your brain is sensing. And when you
And
lose
that's an
agency, you
yeah.
lose the control of the narrative.
So that's the modern, war. It's a
It is,
secret.
I'm not so sure it's only modern. Um, uh, the issue of a cognitive Pearl Harbor, where an entire mindset of people changes. The physical one in the US, obviously, we go back to Pearl Harbor in
Hmm.
41.
Yep.
And overnight, the entire psychology, the entire zeitgeist of the American population
Was
changed.
gone. Was
It
gone.
flipped
Hmm.
completely into something
Hmm.
else.
Exactly.
9/11, JFK, these types of narrative, complex, emotionally painful types of experiences frame who we are. And then the bad guys know how to control the narrative as well.
Of
You
course.
we react to emotion. Humans do not make up our brains are emotion and logic, and they're operating on two different operating systems that
Yeah.
don't work together very well. One's emotion and one is logic. And we have been this
I love that.
way since we have been engineered for the last 50 to 200,000 years.
Yeah. The only difference is you add some technology into it, and it gets a little faster. So yeah. So I would say, as an analogy, I would say the attack surface is human judgment.
The attack surface is your sensors, your
Your
senses.
senses,
It
exactly.
is all of the inputs to your uh, cognitive processing, whether it's external senses or it's internal senses. That all of that input plus then your memories creates your reality.
Oh, yep, that's right. So when the next topic is
She
really
has a broken face.
she does. Yeah. Yes, she does. And that's probably a deep fake. Okay, so let's so that's let's talk about that's a nice bridge to the next topic because as you know, and me and you know, we live in a world of deep fakes. I mean, believe it or not, but that's the reality. You got AI generated phishing, synthetic voices, now we're gonna get like a fake authority, automated influence campaigns, and content
Mhm.
that looks real enough to fool even smart people like me and you. You know so now the question is, what does trust look like when almost anything can be convictingly fabricated?
Yeah.
I
Trust
mean, like,
nothing.
what does
Trust
that
nothing.
really mean? What does that really mean? Do we need new trust protocols or something? I don't know.
Well, number one, trust nothing.
Trust nothing.
Verify at least twice if you care. The amount of this is where it gets into a lot of the work that I've been doing is okay, whether it's an AI source that's trying to fool you, there's some actor, there is some agent
Hmm.
behind that, what we call in the military is called force multiplication,
Okay.
bots. And whether
Hmm.
it's creating a deep fake or it's creating social engineering or anything in order to psychologically manipulate you,
Yep.
we tend to immediately say, let's go. You need to critically think about that. And I fully agree with that, but it's wrong, in my humble opinion. Sorry, people. Sorry. In my humble, critical thinking is massively important. However, what we have to realize is that there's a much more fundamental problem to the AI, the deep fake, the meta work slide you had up earlier. The
Hmm.
fundamental issue today is too much information. Too much information.
Unverified information
No, just too much information.
overall.
Verification. No,
Okay.
verification is further down. Too much information is how many times a day does somebody check their phone? The average is 363 times a day. Is that too much?
Yeah.
I argue, yeah, that's way too much. Um, how many channels do you have to choose from on your streaming services? Way
Mm,
too much.
right.
How much, how many talks, how many conversations can you have with 5,000 of your best close personal friends? Too much information. What we need to do before we get to critical thinking is enhance our cognitive filters. Humankind, hominids, since last 50 to 200,000 years,
Mhm.
we innately, if we smell bad water, don't drink it. We kind of know this. Our four-legged friends know this. If the meat smells rotten, don't eat it. There are certain things that our body biologically automatically dismisses. I call it critical ignoring. Now, critical ignoring is required before critical thinking. Otherwise, everything we have goes into critical thinking, and there's not enough time in the universe for us to critically analyze every single piece of information that comes our way. So, what do we need to do? We need to do the same thing we do in cyber. In cyber, we have tier one at the internet, and the amount of crap up there, we don't even know what's up there. The tier one people do. Then the tier one people do some filtering before it gets to tier two. Same thing for tier three. And then that level of filtering, that level
Mhm.
of critical ignoring is what is fed then to the perimeter and the controls of an enterprise. Inside the enterprise, you have additional critical ignoring, additional spam filters, additional various types of malware detection, BS detection. We have various levels of that. And then the third level is finally at the end point. We add more stuff there. I've got probably as much security sitting on this to keep the crap away from me that an enterprise does. Not exactly, but that's the point. There's all these three major levels. So that at this point, we should be filtered from, and the numbers show we are filtered down about 6, 7 orders of magnitude. We know these numbers. Now, what is hitting your brain? What is hitting your inbox? What is hitting you as a human being? Are you stressed? Are you overwhelmed? Are you nervous? Do you have the anxiety? Do you have depression? I mean, all of these psychological things, including addiction to the phone. You got to take your phone to the bathroom with you, don't you? It's absolutely necessary to do that. Too much information. We have to get the brain to begin to automatically realize, I don't care. I don't have time. That's BS. That's technology that I don't need. And we have developed a series of protocols and a taxonomy to get critical ignoring before you get to critical thinking. Otherwise, we're not going to help anything.
I like what you said. I really, really, I mean, you know, I mean, my test bed here would be, I mean, on the critical ignoring part. I mean, I do a simple thing. I'm a simple guy, and I kind of grew up like that, and it helps me throughout my whole life and career, professional career, to do very simple thing. When someone tells you something, I always ask the simple question, why?
Mhm.
If they give me an answer, I follow up with another very fancy question, why? And third is another why. And then they give up. So I know that they're full of what. So
You sound
um,
like my grandson. Why, mother? Why?
yes, but it
But
works, don't you
absolutely,
think?
yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
I mean, people
The
look.
we have
People can actually answer the first why. Second, they're barely answering. Third, they won't if they're BSing you.
when my wife and I talk about this, I go back to the educational system, at least here in the U.S. Uh, and all too often, our educational system is shut up and take notes. Don't ask questions.
Exactly.
And in from and I'm going to go from ancient Greece on, just because it's easier from an historical standpoint. The art of asking questions is far more important and profound than learning the answer. You will never get the answer unless you learn how to ask the right questions. And
Yep.
again, we'll go back to apathy, arrogance, and ignorance, because those are the top level problems that we're facing again in management, top management, C suite, and board levels. They don't know the exact questions to ask because, right, wrong, or indifferent, they are focused on next month's quarterly profits. They're not necessarily interested in a really good engineering solution. And I mean engineering in the broadest sense of things from a system standpoint.
Yep. I mean, this is exactly. I mean, it sounds very very complex, but in fact,
It is. I didn't say this was simple. I've
but
spent a
at the end of the
lot of.
day, it's very straightforward. I mean, underline the word. Right. Ask right questions, not just ask questions. Right questions is the probably the your solution. But that this is kind of a filter.
They
It's
are
a
all
funnel.
filters,
It's
and
a funnel.
these filters need to be made part of our automatic system. Our automatic system says if I'm walking in the streets of New York and I hear a horn of a taxi and it sounds close, stop, jump, get the hell out of the way. We
Correct.
are tuned as humans to do that in the physical world. We are not innately tuned to do it for information.
Mm.
So,
Mm.
one of the things that we've done over social engineering, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Just that's just
Yeah,
one of them. But there's
probably not.
hundreds of these types of examples that exist inside of hostile narratives. And we've got to get our brains, our cognitive immune system, to be able to recognize them automatically and do a huge amount of that critical ignoring
Hmm.
before we start actually wasting time and energy on critical thinking.
Period. Okay. Switching gears. You also when you also funded the security awareness company and spent years making security education more human, I think. Um,
We did it more human. Yeah. The biggest thing we did was we were not universally liked by all corporations because we were having too much fun. So we said, okay, then you can't be one of our clients. We're not going to go boring. We focused on personal security an awful lot because if people don't have an emotional relationship with the topic, you don't have them. This is not an intellectual. This is what will happen to your kids. How do you do this at home? How do you do this with your parents and your family? It's the same thing here. Go to policy 1.25 and we'll figure it out.
yeah, exactly.
And
Why
then
is more security, awareness training still so boring? Then what
it is.
actually changes behavior then, or maybe like talking about employees, are they really the weakest link, or is this my lazy thinking here?
Uh, uh, but that's a whole different conversation. Oh, the security awareness training, I have come now to not like the word training. Uh,
Okay, so what would
I
you
have,
call it?
because we want things to become automatic, innate. And so I prefer the word habituation, where it
Habituation.
becomes a
Okay,
habit, it becomes an instinct.
got it.
I'm getting
More
all really,
human, more human, linked to human.
this is all a human issue right now because it's made it through all these layers of filters,
Hmm.
whatever
Hmm.
those filters are on social media, on the here, or on in my daily life, and listening to people. And you said, do I really care about your uncle's opinion on politics? No. So I'm just going to no, critically ignore it. I do not have the time, and I'm not going to expend the mental energy on it.
Hmm.
But that has to become an habituation of people. I was in New Orleans recently for a talk, and I'm sitting alone at the bar having dinner, nice glass of wine, and these two ladies are sitting next to me, and they decide to go all political on me for whatever reason. I don't know. I'm just sitting there with my Kindle. I'm reading a science fiction book.
Maybe you look like a politician or something to them. Maybe
I do not want to hear that. No. And,
that's
and
a
they
joke.
started going all political on me. And it was like, I need to ignore this. I need to, and so I'm not going to say exactly what I did, but effectively it was a mic drop moment.
Okay.
And they
Hmm.
got up and left.
Oh, there you
And then
go.
the rest of the people at the bar clapped and said, thank you.
That must have been a scene.
It
Nice.
wasn't a scene. They got up, the bartender. I mean, it was only one line, mic drop. I just do not want to engage in certain things. And that's my choice.
Yeah.
Now, maybe other people do. I'm not saying the filtering mechanisms that I choose for me are going to be your filtering mechanisms. And in the book I'm working on now, and I'm not trying to plug it so much, but it's a workbook to get you through the ideas and then have you develop your own taxonomies, your own processes that will meet what you believe you want. You can always change it. You can always change something down the
Yeah.
line. In fact, another example of always being able to change. My wife and my friends are always saying, "There's a conference in a year and a half." I said, "I already booked flights." And they go, "Why the hell did you book them a year and a half in advance?" I said, "You can always change them. Whether the price goes down, I can always change them. If the price goes up, I won. If my schedule changes, my schedule changes. But at least I have something that I'm working with. And being able to recognize you can change your mind, you can change what you want to filter. Um, yes, I want to go down the rabbit hole of non-human intelligence, but I don't want to go down the rabbit hole of jackalope. What a,
Yeah, yeah.
pick your conspiracy theories. And which one do you want to have some fun with, perhaps? Uh, that is the dynamics and the real human part of critical ignoring is being able to change it to adjust your own uh, mental stability, your own comfort level, your own anxiety, stress level, or how far do you want to get rid of it? You're going to get rid of this entirely? Okay, go off the grid. That's cool. No problem.
Yes,
Then all
exactly.
you've got is the birds. If you're going to keep this, you need to have mental and technical ignoring technologies and processes in place.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, so okay, I want to talk to you about the cybersecurity leadership, uh, about the needs a little
Mm-hmm.
bit. So I mean, I know you have been cybersecurity through. You have seen cybersecurity through probably government, many enterprises, maybe the conferences that you attended, maybe the books that you've read, maybe the startups, that I talk about a lot here, this podcast, and obviously the media. So, what kind of cybersecurity leader do we really need now?
We
Like
need
today.
cybersecurity leaders that are better educated in non cybersecurity.
That's very smart because
Right now, I gave a talk to a very technical audience
uh-huh.
last year, and in order to, I want to gauge the audience. Hi, I'm Wynn, and all this, and I said, all right, we're going to start with Shannon. Everybody knows Shannon, right? And I think one
Yeah.
hand went up, and I said, Shannon, the founder of information theory, that which we all do. Anybody? Bueller? Anybody? We don't teach and provide the historical skills in
Mm,
various engineering disciplines. We don't teach systems. We don't teach the history of technology. We don't teach the history of security. And we do not teach psychology 101 and what it means to be a human. Without having that, you have no context. All you've got is the RSA sign saying, I'm going to fix everything for you. Where is the context, the meaning? How does it relate and work in your environment? And unless cybersecurity leaders can reference history, we already made that mistake. We know that mistake. One of the things
mm,
that I hear from CISOs, and it really, I don't get it. CISO goes in to the new company because the last guy got fired because something got screwed up. And so he was the sacrificial lamb. So the new guy
yes.
comes in and says, I'm going to change everything. It'll take about 18 months, 2 years to do. More money, more budget, change everything, whatever errors are going to occur. And throughout the process, re educate the staff as to how they're going to do this. Something goes wrong, and then that guy gets fired, being the sacrificial lamb. The lack of continuity between all of these, and part of education is learning to fail and taking the lessons of failure forward in models of success. It doesn't mean you tear down the city and rebuild it. It means you reconfigure pieces of it.
Yeah, and that just when you were describing this, I actually had in my head, I had like I had imagined like an instance which you described. So it seems like maybe it would be beneficial for the whole organization to actually, when we have a CISO actually, working closely with the CEO, for example, like not as a standalone, department, but they should be really talking to each other, and maybe CISO should be more aware of like the strategic decisions more than just the technical aspects.
I think security architects need to do a lot more than just move bits and bytes around.
Well, that's what
Security
I mean.
architecture is not only digital and binary and technology and copper.
Yeah.
It is about the human, because again, I repeat myself over and over, because it is a system, and it's our
Yes.
integration with the system, and we're not coexisting really well with an awful lot of it. We are floundering, and one of the reasons we're floundering is IT itself. We give too much capability, flexibility to users at any level, whether it's the administrative level or the home user level. We give them so much incredible capability, errors are going to increase. They are going to increase. And there's numbers that show this. This is not mystical. So I remember I did a conference with, I think it was ISSA, and they said,
Uh-huh.
give us an example. I said, okay, Word, let's take Word. Word has like this incredible density of stuff you can do. Great. So does PowerPoint. So does Excel. And if
Hmm.
you're a power user, yeah, they're great and all that. But what if you just want to do X, Y, Z? That's all you need. Why can Microsoft or any vendor not have beginner, intermediate, advanced buttons that make the interfaces simpler, which will then result in a higher degree of security, because simpler is easier to provide secure mechanisms for? It's
Indeed.
IT's fault that we are just giving it
Yeah.
all away. TV, I mean, TV at home. Um, we've got a bunch of streaming services. They all work differently.
Yeah.
They're all different. And that's again another cognitive overload
Yeah. There you
on
go.
people at home, is where the hell do I watch Reacher? Where is, what channel is it on? And IT is doing it to us, and big tech and ad tech are doing it as well, because it captures our attention, gives us more screen time, and that means more revenue.
Yes, and media is the one that is you know passing it over to us. So
And there's different goals. Inside the
yeah.
enterprise, you're looking for one degree of efficiency, and in the IT at home, they're looking for maintaining long-term attention, games,
Mhm.
long-term attention. These are all pieces of that same OODA loop. They're all the same, just depending
I
upon
would,
the
yeah, yeah.
contextualization and what you want.
It's a modern addiction.
Oh,
So
addiction is a whole nother thing. Then again, that's well proven
mhm.
that when we push certain buttons, we get a dose of some nice
We
oxytocin.
get programmed.
We get feel good chemicals. There are neurochemicals that are released that make us feel good. And that's
Yeah,
why teenagers are addicted so much to social
that's right.
media, because
That
we
is
have taught
unbelievable.
them to be addicted. We have allowed it. We have produced an addictive technology, and we are not controlling it.
Yep. So, Win, I mean, let's make it, let's make this fun. I would say I'll take it back, more fun, because I think we are having good time for a moment. Thanks to your, very professional, observations and comments. So, let's imagine like, so when if we played a hey, cybersecurity Jeopardy game right now, what would the category be for 2026, for today? Like, for example, maybe AI hype, maybe human stupidity, maybe
We
broken
would do
incentive.
We've been doing Jeopardy at DEF CON now. This would be, I think, the 34th year of doing Hacker
Oh,
Jeopardy.
really? Okay, so I haven't
So
invented
that,
the
that
wheel here.
question,
Okay.
I no longer help really write the questions, but it. I'm not going to do a Jeopardy thing now.
No,
My job when I'm in front of the public is to disrupt their thinking, to make them
yeah.
get uncomfortable, to
No, I was
get
more
more.
thinking about like, the theme, or like, you know, just a thought, not just to play the game.
No, no, no.
Yeah,
I get it. All right, AI. You'd have a category acting ignorantly.
yeah, exactly.
I
Yeah,
mean, we
that's
have a
it.
lot of fun doing this. Uh, and the time machine warning, cognitive Pearl Harbor.
Oh, cognitive harbor.
Cognitive Pearl Harbor, that it can mean three different things. It's your own personal cognitive
Hmm.
Pearl Harbor, where you are individually convinced, manipulated, bombarded by, sucked into somebody's narrative, and whether you're aware of it or not, for good or for bad, doesn't matter. That is still your own
Awesome.
personal cognitive Pearl Harbor. At the enterprise level, what do you think of your enterprise? What does the outside world think of your enterprise? How do you know what is true coming into your enterprise? How
Hmm.
do you know what is real from the messages that you're getting from throughout your enterprise? Because we know how easy that is to fool. And the cognitive Pearl Harbor is about how much an entire population, the employees of a company, lose trust
Hmm.
in internal and external communications and their own beliefs or
So,
reputations. And then the one at the societal level is where a group of an organization of people create, press a narrative that can be very, very harmful, and get entire groups, large portions of the population, actually to believe and behave things that
mhm.
took away their own agency.
Yeah, so I see like this trust, and and yeah, I mean the trust itself. I mean, it keeps coming like a boomerang. I see throughout our whole.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely. That's why trust
Yeah.
is so important.
Mhm.
And if people are interested in trust, Analog Network Security has probably 50 pages of the math and the formulas of how trust works, how trust degrades over time. And this is hard math that goes back to fundamental psychological work done
Mhm.
in the mid
Mhm.
19th century. So a lot of this isn't new. This was just me
Exactly.
reading entirely too many books for the last years.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, when I mean, using analogy of the Pearl Harbor that you used to say, um, I would say let's end today with a time machine question. Um, so, if you could send one simple warning to cybersecurity professionals out there, maybe founders, maybe the executives, or God forbid, the policymakers in 2035. So not now, but going a few years ahead. What would you warn them about today?
You had your first chance, you had your second chance. We gave you a third chance when you were terraforming the planet into Web 3.0, and you blew it.
And you blew it. That's fantastic conclusion. I mean, I hope it's semi optimistic.
I would love to be more optimistic. I really would. But that's not my current job.
Yeah, I mean, I
I
know you
really
are
want to
very realistic, I would
I
say.
really want to keep this framed in science. All of my
Mhm.
work, to the best of my knowledge, and for those of you who've seen my talks, and it's a funny story. I start a lot of my talks. Hi, my name's Wynn, and my job is to make you uncomfortable. And I'm going to teach you a bunch of stuff. I said, your job is to call out my bullshit.
Hmm.
So if I say some BS, you stand up on a chair, shout it out, Wynn, you're full of shit. If
Mm.
you're right, I'll buy the beer.
Exactly.
If I'm right, you're buying me
You
expensive glass of wine. And I
you
think
better not lose then. Yeah,
so.
exactly.
I have been through this. I have met so many great people who are willing to actually, just because I'm sitting here and I've done this for 40 years, or anybody else who's had a lot of experience, challenge us. This is not, everything I'm saying is not necessarily right. These are ideas that need to be discussed because they are uncomfortable.
Hmm.
And to ignore them, you're critically ignoring them way too early. This is the substance, if you really care about the survival of the species, the existential threat, and how technology and humanity plan on peacefully coexisting for the next decades and centuries.
Decades, decades and centuries. Okay, great. Win. I mean, this has been a fantastic conversation. I have to
I
admit.
appreciate it.
What I really take away is that cybersecurity is no longer only about protecting network systems and data. It's about protecting time, trust, decision making, and maybe even our sense of reality,
Yep.
existence. So for everyone listening, the message is very clear: do not wait for the breach, the deep fake, the manipulation campaign, or the crisis to discover whether your organization can think clearly under pressure. So I would also add, like, cybersecurity is not just about tools; it's about preparation, response, awareness, leadership, and for sure resilience.
Optimizing,
So
optimize the universe.
optimizing, exactly. So Win, I mean, thank you again for
My pleasure.
joining me today on Secure by Design podcast. And to everyone watching or listening, please like, subscribe, and share this episode with your friends, family, and work colleagues. Help us make commotion around this conversation that matters. So this was Secure by Design by Signora. I'm Daniel Kulig, and I'll see you in the next episode. Win again. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful
My
day.
pleasure. Thank you.